Hey PE Econ class, in this video we're going to discuss changes in aggregate demand, therefore delta AD as it says up there. This is really just a short section of the book, but it is all important to understand why aggregate demand changes. And as you remember, aggregate supply and aggregate demand graphs look like this. They are a negative. There's a negative slope here. One thing we need to note here is this is going to be AD1. What would cause, think for a second, what would cause people to demand more goods and services at all prices? Like, what would cause people to do this? To have an increase in demand at a macro level? Think to yourself. One of the things that the book says is that if there's more money, that makes sense. If you give people more money, you're going to see an increase in aggregate demand. Let's draw a phantom supply line here. What you would see here is if people increase their aggregate demand, you would see a shift to the right in output. There would be more output if people had more money. In addition, prices would also go up. So that's kind of two not great things, but that's okay. More money increases output, and as we remember from our last video, this also measures employment down here on this axis, so that means more people are being employed, according to our phantom supply line. If we have better, secure future, and what I mean by that is that if you're more secure in your job, then you're going to spend more now and pay it off later. Therefore, you will increase your spending at all prices. If other countries improve, that's good for you. Believe it or not, economics is not a zero-sum game. If another country can purchase more of your good, then demand will go up. Remember, that's going to increase your output, and part of the output is net exports. If there is a decrease in the real interest rate, people will demand more goods because it will be cheaper for them to borrow money, because if there's a reduction in the real interest rate, their monthly payments are less. In addition, if there's tax decreases, and we have to be specific here, I'm going to draw a little star here. When we talk about tax decreases, we're talking about consumer tax decreases, not like tax decreases on steel or nuclear energy or something that a consumer doesn't buy. But if it's a tax decrease on consumption spending, then you're going to see increased consumption spending because the price decreases. To be honest, this means that that means that DPI increases, your disposable income. And disposable personal income, And then lastly, if there is a decrease in the foreign exchange rate of the dollar, and here we're measuring the American economy, American aggregate demand. There's a decrease in the foreign exchange value of the dollar. We see an increase in aggregate demand. That's actually counterintuitive here. But if the dollar decreases in value, that means more foreign countries can purchase the dollar for cheaper. That means they can exchange their currency for a dollar and get more. Therefore, they're going to be more apt to buy American goods. In addition, drop in foreign exchange value of the dollar means that you are going to be less likely to import goods, and that causes net exports to increase. And we know that that will increase output as measured by our aggregate demand curve, because it SIGIX, right? This real GDP measures SIGIX. So those are just some of the determinants of aggregate demand. The next curve, I'm going to change this phantom supply curve into a real supply curve.